From the moment I came in contact with the Dot Hack series, I was in love. Whether it was the animes, the mangas, or of course the video games, I found myself intrigued with this universe. The concept of losing consciousness, falling into a coma, and being trapped inside an MMO was, for whatever reason, really compelling to me, regardless of which set of main characters were dealing with it. I found myself intrigued at how things would all play out. The music for all of Dot Hack is honestly some of the most beautiful stuff I've ever heard composed, further drawing me in, and the games were, at least in my opinion, pretty good as well. Sure, the first 4 games were far too alike to one another, but when GU came around, in between titles, Bandai did a fairly good job of trying to keep things fresh, so that even though you're still technically playing the same video game, there are some improvements, or new weapons to use. Hell, the last volume of GU added guns, which was great. Though sadly the series isn't really around anymore. The last 2 major entries into the franchise, those being Dot Hack Link and Versus, both saw Japanese only releases, and Versus was also only released with a movie called Dot Hack the Movie, which to my knowledge was also never localized. In fact, I'm pretty sure the only presence Dot Hack currently has is in some Japanese phone game, which I don't even recall being named Dot Hack, though it had some connection. But this sucks. It's terrible when you have to watch a series you love slowly fade away and eventually be replaced with people saying that Dot Hack is a ripoff of Sword Art Online. Which, no. Regardless, my fond memories of the series will never fade, cause I gave Bandai a bunch of money and owned Dot Hack everything, because I have a problem. They got me with Kamen Rider too. They're very crafty, though little did I foresee is that a few years ago I'd come across a prototype version of the GU branch of the franchise, and frankly, I can't hold it in any longer. So today on Gaming Mysteries, we'll be taking a look at the Dot Hack that may have been, with the prototype version of Dot Hack GU. Now our tale begins back in 2004 with the trailer shown internally at Bandai, so of course I was able to find the raw and download it off the internet, because the internet doesn't care about your closed door meetings. The trailer portrayed a very similar yet different looking game that focused on 2 main segments, and in many ways mirrored the 2005 E3 trailer of the game, as we have one section with Haseo fighting a group of player killers, and the other with Haseo facing Tri-Edge at Hidden Forbidden Holy Ground, with the main characters being sprinkled in between scenes. The only thing missing from the E3 trailer were more plot-centric things, which likely weren't a thing yet. In any case, the trailer starts off with Haseo lying on the ground. Based on the final plot, this is most likely after he was PK'd when he started the game, and then went on an angst spree. Interestingly enough though, the area he's in is both not inside a dungeon, but instead a room that was actually used in the final product of GU when Haseo got his first job upgrade. This being the only scene in the entire game that actually uses this weird 4-way room thing. Shortly after, we get a shot of Haseo looking down at a group of player killers as they take out a player. Seconds later, Haseo enters the fray, and we get our first proper look at him. And he mostly looks similar. Hair is slightly different, maybe a little bit lighter in color, and it looks like they smushed his first and second costumes together, resulting in whatever the hell he's wearing in this. Though soon we're given our first artwork shot, showing an very different looking version of Haseo that I'm gonna assume is his 3rd form, although considering he's wielding a broadsword in this artwork, it could have been his 2nd form. But he doesn't get his scythe until his 3rd form, and yet they show him wielding it in this trailer. Perhaps for the sake of convenience, or just to show how badass he was. 3 weapons instead of just the one set of twin blades. So I'll stick with my 3rd form theory. Looking away from his character design for the moment, so we can actually get into the beef of the trailer, that being these two battles. The first trailer shows Haseo about to be pounced on by a group of player killers, whose character models are taken right from the first set of .hack games, before Haseo whips out a set of twin blades and activates his main character badassery, able to take out the entire group single-handedly with little effort. The placeholder character designs then go in for a group attack, before Haseo busts out his second weapon, a broadsword, quickly putting a stop to that group effort. Haseo proceeds to kick the crap out of these player killers before pulling out a third weapon, a scythe, because he's rad as fuck. And then we proceed to Hidden Forbidden Holy Ground, an area that, again, is taken from the first set of 4 .hack games, proven by the existence of Aura's statues still being there, as she was omitted from GU. As Haseo's about to leave, the plot shows up and Tri-Edge appears, as he proceeds to pull out his blades, causing Haseo to have plot-related flashback with an earlier design for Shino that we'll get into more in a bit. But rage builds within Haseo, causing him to equip his own set of blades before lunging at Tri-Edge, in a scene that's also in the final game, although it ran at a much better frame rate in the final version. Regardless of that, Tri-Edge proves to be a formidable foe, easily handling Haseo's twin blade assault, causing him to take out his broadsword in an attempt to strike down Tri-Edge, which ends in Haseo having his shit handed to him. Tri-Edge approaches Haseo and starts charging up his data drain before launching it at Haseo, which in the final game reverts him back to level 1, but here just causes the screen to flash to white instead. The next we see of Haseo, he appears to be in some random dungeon from the first set of games, clutching his head before the original version of Skaith appears behind him, with the trailer ending as it began with Haseo on the ground and Ovan approaching him, where he then welcomes him to the world. And now we're diving straight into character concept designs that were shown off in the trailer briefly, but they also exist with these pictures that make it far easier to show things off. Since we already went over Haseo, let's move on to Adelie. Now in the trailer itself, they display this version of Adelie right here, though in this concept art, we can see a more jester-like version of her was planned as well, and also this one with a giant hat and no pants for some reason, with them eventually settling on a design that's more or less the same as what she has in the final version of the game. What I find interesting is that the trailer showed this version of Adelie, and when it came to show Shino in the flashback, she looks like the more finalized version of Adelie, meaning at some point in time, these two characters were not going to share the exact same character design with inverted colors, which I honestly would have preferred. Not only do I think the earlier design for Adelie looks rather nice, colors. Next we have Kun, who went through a couple of revisions. One where he looked masculine, if that's the word you want to use, another where he looks less so and wields a set of twin blades, and next we have a version where we start getting closer to his final design, except he went a little overboard with the cloaks and wields a broadsword. With our finalist version, or at least the version shown in the trailer and right now in the... My cat just knocked something over. Anyways, at this point, it's starting to look more like the final version. Granted, his class was that of a Blade Master instead of the steam sword gun thing that he used in the final version. I never really learned the new character classes all that well. What the hell are you doing over there? Next up we have Pi, with her earliest design having her look ridiculous with giant gloves and what appears to be a bow made out of bones. Her second design shows her as a more normal looking, yet still disturbingly happy character, with her now being a Wave Master. From here her design changed drastically, completely different hair and now wielding a broadsword, with an updated version of this character looking a lot more like the final Pi, with shorter hair and glasses. From here it looks like they combined the broadsword version of Pi, or at least took her hair, messed with it a bit, and gave her some pigtails, dyed her hair pink, but kept the face of the revised version, resulting in a design very familiar to that of the one found in the final game, albeit with more clothes. and instead of being a grappler, she was a twin blade instead. Moving on, we have my favorite effeminate male character in the series, Entrance, who went through a lot of interesting versions. Early on, they seemed to be sticking to the roots of the character, him being Elk, the Wave Master in the first set of Dot Hack games, and remaining a Wave Master right here. From there, they gave him a giant sword and a fringe to match its length, and also this rather unimpressive design. From here, effeminate Entrance began to take a more solid shape, with him being effeminate royal knight guy with a giant sword again, before evolving into a less effeminate though still royal looking Wave Master, with them eventually going with a design that I'm rather fond of, and wish they kinda would've used it in the final version of the game. Sure, the coat's kinda overkill, there's too much of it, and his fringe taking up most space is arguably bad, but I'm kinda drawn towards this design, even though it's really not that different from the final version. Up next, we have Oban, who looks like the same character with a bigger coat, longer scarf, and some different pants and shoes in some of the earlier designs. His hair also may have been a bit of a darker color, but out of everyone in the cast, he changed the least. So of course, we need to talk about someone who changed the tons. So say hi to Prototype Syllabus. Here's his final design for anyone who doesn't know, so he changed a lot. Obviously, he's a tad shorter, a lot, though still wields a blade, cause why the hell not? His face is disturbing, as is his hair, which defies all manner of gravity. Eventually, someone decided to not give me nightmares, and they went with something a tad more standard, uncreeping his face, turning his troll doll hair into a more normal cut with a ponytail, as well as stealing the color from the hair and filling his clothes in with it. And interestingly enough, his closest friend Gaspard also started out incredibly different looking, as instead of being a dog, bearish thing with fur, he was a tall, awkward-looking Wave Master with nice long hair and a big hat. And while it could just be me, his old design kinda gives off the same vibe as his final design's character, that being awkward. Only difference being one is human and the other is a dog with opposable thumbs thing. I do find it fascinating that initially Gaspard was the human of the duo, while Syllabus was the whatever the hell he was. While talking about characters who changed drastically though, let's move on to Bordeaux, who in her earliest state was a he, and he was huge and full of the muscles and had a big ass hammer, so I don't know which class he was. From here, the character got a major overhaul, gaining an appearance that certainly fits the character because he looks really shady and like he wants to stab someone. The facial hair is a little bit excessive though. From here we got another redesign, this time adding some armor to him, before becoming a pretty girl who, with the exception of her hair color and a more traditional sword, looks more or less just like her final design. Next up we have Alcade, whose first design is a bit more elaborate, but very reminiscent of her final design, with this other version being not even close, and again, no pants. From here Alcade got some darker skin and what looks to be golden armor, and this weird dagger thingy with a normal sword to go along with it. In the end, they decided on a version that's not far off from what we saw in the final release. Antares went through a number of changes, from him being a simple abs-having spear wielder, to him looking like an alcoholic pirate, to him being tiny and blue, or purple, I'm not really sure, and he had two blades, one of them being broken for some reason, as well as this version which looks like one of the shop clerks. I don't know what they were going for with this one. He then evolved into a furry, booze-drinking pirate person thing, until adopting a design more akin to what we see in the final game, except his mask wouldn't cover his entire face as it does in the final version of GU, and instead would just cover a portion of it. Hopping back to the subject of swapping genders though, we have Sirius, a talking dog thingy in the final game, but here, maybe a cat lady who's giant and has a big sword. This transitioning to a giant human thing who desperately needs pants. This cute little tiny version of him, which they should have just gone with this one. It's adorable. Before roiding him up yet again as a hip-hop bear person guy, with the final prototype design looking the closest to his final counterpart, with different clothes and different colored fur. Another early design I'm rather fond of. Yada started off as a trustworthy looking wave master, and him being a wave master at first makes sense as he was a wave master in the original games as Wise Man. From there he grew out some nice hair and got a sick staff, but is starting to look less trustworthy. Something backed up by his next design where, again, no pants. Someone buy these people pants. He also, oddly enough, had these two books, which are just kind of hanging out around his head area region. This, in a more finalized version, seems to give the impression that the books have personalities and are possibly their own characters, or at least AI. With Bandai eventually settling with the familiar fan-wielding fellow, who, while having far more clothes than his final version, is close enough. Sakubo started out as a blade master with bells on, who, to put it lightly, is adorable. From here, growing a hat and acquiring a gun somehow, despite that not really being a class, before evolving into a jester-like wave master who is simultaneously a boy and a girl. We also have some prototype designs for some of the members of the Moon Tree Guild. Zelkova looks pretty much the same, though Kaede is showing a lot more skin and has a weapon which is a metal pole stuck in a fucking rock, which is a little crazy. We have this nice early design for Sakaki where he manages to not look like a huge prick for the most part, and Matsu once sported a tan, no shirt, armored pants, and a spear, making him another character who saw drastic changes. The most interesting unused character design, however, is that of Black Rose, one of the main characters from the first 4 main .hack games. She was set to appear in the final volume of GU, but was ultimately omitted for being quote-unquote not different enough. Something that initially sounded stupid, and still does, but if you look at the in-game history of the world, it kinda makes sense, as the original version of the world, or the world R1's data was destroyed in a fire in imaginary year 2015, causing CC Corp to quickly build a replacement by taking the remaining data from the world they had and mixing it with another game that they were currently working on, resulting in the world R2, which is represented in .hack GU. Because most of the data from the first game was lost, everyone was forced to make new characters, this being the main reason why returning characters such as Elk or Entrance, Wiseman or Yada, and of course Pyros III, who's just Pyros III, because why not, all sport such different designs, which brings us to Black Rose concept art for GU, where she more or less looks the same as she did in the World R1. I assume since they probably didn't have time to create a new version of Black Rose, or came to the conclusion that if the character didn't look the same, then there's really no point in including her as attributing factors to her removal. But that was the prototype of .hack GU, and that Black Rose bonus bit. All in all, I'm happy with the games that we got. Sure, some of the earlier character designs would have been neat to see in action, and no Black Rose is a bummer, but hey, she made it into .hack Link, which was only released in Japan, so that's something. Ultimately, I'm just disappointed by how .hack has fallen by the wayside, with no real sign that I'm aware of it making some kind of comeback, outside of crossover game appearances. I remember hearing rumors a while back that the GU trilogy was gonna see an HD version for the PlayStation 3, but sadly nothing ever came from this rumor. And I think the .hack games ended up getting a tad pricey, so they may be harder to acquire. But if you're interested and you can acquire them, give them a try, at least with the GU games. They're solid, if not slightly repetitive RPGs that I enjoyed quite a bit, so maybe you will as well. But this has been Gaming Mysteries. Thank you for watching. Welcome back to End Slate, where it's been a while, because I was sick, but hey, you just watched the Game of Mysteries and the prototype of .hack GU, which I hope you enjoyed very much. But, you know, no kicking around the spooky bush, which I don't think is the saying. It's time to do End Slate things. Last thing I did on this channel was a bullshit creepypasta story time on w.p.yoshi story. And the other two videos I'll put up are things that I've done that you can click on if you want, but I'm not gonna force you, nor do I know what videos they are currently. And at the bottom of the screen, Nico does the art for the channel. You should check Nico out. And then I also have social media things, which you can check out if you want. Of course, if you like the video and you want to like it or subscribe or something, those things, that's greatly appreciated, though I won't force it upon you. And I have a Patreon, which people have been helping me with. People have been helping me. Because I can't word this right to save my goddamn life. People are good people who, damn it, people. Thank you, good people. I'm gonna thank you now, because I can't speak because I'm an idiot. We're doing a Halloween stream. Ooh. But from the bottom of my heart, thank you, Ben Shaw, Darth Penguin, Nikki Batelli, Shulks Minato, Abdul Kareem Torres, Nikki Lehman, Sally from 3 Ice Cube Show, D-Man's Land, again, supplier of French fry haired Ken, Jacob Sifford, Ryan Macklin, Paul Walker, Tio Centaure, Joseph Puello, Boltron, Chase Holstis, Skyward Keyblade, Joseph Constantine, Nolan, Christina Coleman, Alex Meyer, Doc Drazen, Andrew Arana, Aaron Brewington, David Freesley, Fernando Silva, hi Fernando, Rodrigo Derez, Brandon Alexander Cohen, Beautiful Yoshi, Steven Seference, Vinny McCasey, Diego Martinez, which I almost read as Daigo Martinez, because force a habit, Kurezen, if that's how that's pronounced, M. Gamers, Mio Kuroshima, Jesteria, Christopher Purin, Matt Jonas, Sergio, Jason Fox Cohey, The Retro Raver, Rory O'Carroll, Matt Metzi Makers, Gordon Freeman, confirmed, Kenpachi Ramansama, Lori Lon Rancher Smith, Monster Rancher. Why am I thinking about Monster Rancher? Anthony Mang, Squiggly Kip, Crow Feathers, Fat D, sneaking its way into every video. Alex Rowley, Kelsey Lewinsbury, Lucas Bask, Kelly Bain, hi Kelly, Eric Comcho, Jonathan Klaus, Shay Montgomery, damn it, Tyler Barden, Arpai Spies, Joseph Hitsky, Ryan Cole, Erlen Mattis Rees, Jacob Epler, Hannah Krause, River Casey, Zachary Hacker, Joel Guzman, and Dark Video Gamer. Thank you, and thank everyone for helping me, and for helping me be able to focus on making videos when I'm not sick, of course. I do have a number of other videos planned for this upcoming week. This isn't the last video of the month. I'll leave it at that. But yeah, I got some spooky stuff. But yeah, thank you all very much. I love you. Next time on End Slate, it's gonna be a different video, so we'll cover that when we get there. See you everyone next time on End Slate.